Guys, hi guys, and welcome to the first Zana Talks Sports, Zana Talks LFC actually show on the Red Sky Pods. And yeah, there is definitely a lot to talk about today with all the stuff around European Super League, which is probably the biggest topic today. We will shortly touch yesterday's game as well, but yeah, I would like to welcome Alex on my channel. Alex, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic. And Ian, how are you?
I'm good. Living the dream, as we say here in Liverpool.
Amazing. And I think I have Owen from Cop On Podcast joining as well. I think he's in backstage, so we can actually let him in.
Hello.
Hiya, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Delighted to be here. Nice to see you all.
Amazing. Thank you all for being here. So I think we can just all jump in the big elephant in the room. And the first thing I want to ask you all, I'll give you around like 30 seconds to a minute and just say whatever you want about European Super League, just whatever comes to your mind. You have like 30 seconds. Maybe I start with you, Owen. Just express whatever you think about it.
Yeah, sure. Well, in a nutshell, I'm waiting to see what happens. I think it's absolutely beyond ridiculous that the fans weren't consulted on this. Like, no fan seems to have been consulted. They've done it behind closed doors as a sort of secret breakaway club. And my big fear about this is that it could sort of drive apart different factions within the game, create divisions, and so football could end up like boxing or something, with all these different divisions, and it sort of dilutes the sport and ruins the real meaning of the competition, and that's my big fear in it. I think it's a stupid thing with with no promotion and relegation, and as someone else said, Patrick Bamford last night, Marty Sikora said the same thing. Imagine all of this uproar. Imagine they UEFA had exactly the same reaction for against racism or against these kind of things. I wish that they took quicker action on that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is a crazy situation. I don't think UEFA is innocent. I definitely don't think the European Super League is innocent of anything. It's just like greed, and it's messy, and it's filthy, the whole thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I think like VAR was bad enough, to be honest, and like it was bad enough to make people kind of like fall out of love with sport a bit. Well, football, sorry. And I think the Super League is just poorly. It's a poor idea. It's poorly run. It's poorly orchestrated, and there's not a lot of consideration for anyone involved. Only the owners, really. So, like, I think James Miller kind of summed it up brilliantly yesterday. He doesn't want it to happen, and I don't think anyone really does. Like, apart from literally the owners themselves. So I think it's damaging for football, and if it does happen somehow, I don't think it will, but if it does happen, I think honestly football will be dead.
Totally. Ian, you?
Pretty much echo what the other guys have said. Get it in the bin. Doesn't need to be. There's no good guys involved in this. Whether the only good guys here are the fans, the players, and the manager. Sky aren't the good guys. BT aren't the good guys. The owners aren't the good guys. It's just three separate entities. TV, whatever channels they are, businesses, and the big UEFA and FIFA are pushing their agendas, and that's all it is right now. And the biggest victims of it all are the football fans. I've been following Liverpool since I was 3 years of age. Went to my first game when I was 3. I'm 39, and I've seen us lose cup finals and whatnot. And apart from the obvious, what happened at Hillsborough, I don't think I've had a tougher 24 hours as a football fan. That's how I feel right now.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think what bothers me the most is the whole concept of this European Super League. And I think football club as Liverpool and also as Manchester United, who started out as workers clubs who all the fundamentals is about you'll never walk alone. It's not about greed at all, but actually our owners and the owners of the other clubs are just going completely against everything we believed in. And I think I've been very, very vocal about this on Twitter. I don't think there's anything I've been more against than this, because I think it's a horrible idea. I think it's just so horrible that they didn't consult anyone and everyone was thrown under the bus. However, this might be controversial, but do you see any pluses at all, Alex? Do you see any pluses?
About the Super League?
Yeah.
Not really. Maybe you might obviously more money for maybe bigger players, but who's to say those bigger players will want to play in the Super League anyway?
Yeah. Ian?
The only thing I'll say, I'm going to say something really controversial now, which every Liverpool fan will hate. But if it does go ahead, if we aren't part of it, we'll be left behind. That is the sad state of affairs. I don't want it to happen. It shouldn't happen. But if it does happen and we're not involved in it, we're going to get left way, way behind. And we're going to be left in the same situation we were in the 90s, where everybody knew what they were doing commercially, and we didn't. And we didn't evolve like the other clubs did, like your Manchester Uniteds and your Arsenals and your Chelseas. And we just sat back and watched around us what was happening. And people jumped way ahead of us, and it took us 30 years to catch up. Now, potentially, if this does happen, and like I reiterated, so I 110% don't want it to happen. If it does happen and we are not involved, we're in danger of falling 30 years behind again.
Owen, do you see any pluses?
It's difficult to see any. Even if it does go ahead, as was mentioned on other podcasts I've been listening to and things, like Liverpool will probably not have much chance of winning it anyway, because, you know, even if we were in it, City will still outspend us. Real Madrid will probably still outspend us, and other clubs like Manchester United will probably still outspend us. And, you know, of course, like we proved, and Leicester a few years ago proved, that you don't have to be rich to win the league. But, you know, at the same time, City have won it, 6 times in the last 10 years or something with all their riches. It's usually the rich teams that win tournaments. And so if we're creating all of this fracas and all this hoo-ha just to be sort of, you know, mid-table in this league without promotion and relegation, it's just really hard to see any positives at all, I think.
Yeah, and I agree with Tyler. They're saying Liverpool is a big club and have the biggest stars. If we take stand and not play in it, they might back off. I agree, but at the same time, it's hard to tell players you don't go and play this, because if this goes ahead, all the bigger teams will be in it. So it will be hard to say no. I think they will try their best to be against it. And now Jordan Henderson calling a meeting of all captains of the 6 clubs involved from England. So yeah, let's just see what happens with it. But what do you think, Alex? Who will suffer the most from it? Because it's definitely not going to be these clubs. Maybe the integrity of those clubs will, but other than that, who will suffer the most?
Well, obviously the fans will, because the interest, I don't think, will be there. Even if some manages to pull off, like, I definitely won't be supporting it. I won't be watching it, and that's, like, it's easy to say now, but like if Liverpool did go to it, I think I probably just give up watching football, or else maybe, I don't know, maybe watch a lower league team or something and try and find some excitement. But I think the Premier League teams too will suffer. I think Everton, for example, all them will suffer as well. I think Everton needs Liverpool and all those big clubs in the league for themselves, because I think people will start losing interest in the Premier League, sponsor wise as well. You know, like, no disrespect, but no one wants to watch Bournemouth now going, if they got promoted, to win the Premier League. No one really wants to see that, like, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the smaller Premier League clubs will suffer a lot. But Owen, I have a question for you. Were you surprised that the owners of the team kind of blindsided Klopp and the players and didn't say anything before this was announced?
Yeah. I mean, it's Paul Dalglish wrote something interesting on Twitter. I don't know if you all saw that. He said basically, in America where Paul Dalglish lives, football teams, it's quite accepted for all sports teams, to be seen as sort of franchises, whereas in Britain they are community assets, and I think that's a wonderful way of putting it. But it just shows that that despite the years they've had in charge of Liverpool, they just still don't get it. They don't get the club, and I am surprised at that, especially considering the effect of the walkout. They've seen the power of the fans to if you don't engage with the fans, the fans will revolt and make sure that their voices are heard. That if I don't know, it's surprising me that it surprises me that they're that sort of pig-headed to think that they don't need to consult the fans, and that's like, because normally I thought of them as smart people. I thought of them, they've made a lot of smart decisions, but this one is just idiocy, really.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I feel the way how they treated Klopp and the players, knowing that they had a game yesterday. It just came out. People will throw all the disgust, all the questions at Klopp and the players, and the reception they got at Leeds. Yeah, it was the right message. It was the wrong recipient. I totally condemn it, and I just don't think it's right. And owners have been asked to comment, and they've not. So it's in my opinion, it's just disgusting the way they approach this.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I saw a comment from Doug that Bill Shankly would be turning in his grave, as would Bob Paisley too. It's horrible. And I wanted to touch on this as well, Ian. Did you read that Shankly's grandson has said that he wants the statue removed from Anfield?
Without going into too much detail, Bill Shankly's grandson isn't somebody I'll be taking advice off. But that's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. This is from 2021. Shankly was at Liverpool from the 60s into the 70s. We don't need to be taking down statues of anyone. I'm sorry. It's just absolutely ludicrous to me. It's a different time. Absolutely different time. Doesn't make sense. We don't need to be doing stuff like that. We don't need to be doing things dramatic like that. They just said for dramatic effect. Somebody was looking for a bit of airtime and they got it. Absolute nonsense.
And I think the statue is there for the history. The statue is there for the fans, for the manager, for the players now. It's not actually for owners. So I think it would send the wrong message removing it. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think that's going to do anything. I don't think they have any, like, if they don't care about what's happening now at the moment, I don't think moving a statue will do anything for them. They probably don't even know what statue is even about properly, or how long a statue, like what a statue actually stands for, So I don't know. I think it's a bit extreme. I do agree with what Ian said there, definitely. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens to FSG if this reverses and what the fans will be like towards them afterwards, because none of them have come out and publicly said anything. It's been all the managers getting all the abuse and addressed it themselves. They had no one above them even making a comment publicly or anything. So I don't know. Yeah. I think the owner backlash will be interesting afterwards.
Yeah, I have heard that they will potentially say something today, but I do not expect it to be anything good. It will again be all about the money, probably. But Owen, I want to ask you. I think Tuchel was the first manager to speak about it, and he didn't really say anything about it. He said only that I'm behind my club. I trust whatever my club is doing. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, he's moved from PSG to Chelsea. He's he's a company man. Is Tommy Tuchel. Yeah, I mean, if you put yourself in their position, I mean, if they say, I thought it was brave what Jurgen Klopp said, actually, that he said, well, my position hasn't changed. He made his position clear. But you can't really, I mean, it takes a lot of bravery to do that, because if you put yourself in Tuchel's position, he's got a new job. He wants to keep his job. He wants to do well at Chelsea. He doesn't want his career ruined and all that stuff. So he's towing the party line, if you like. It's not particularly noble, but it's certainly diplomatic, and you can understand where he's coming from. I mean, fair enough. Okay, he's going to be like that. Yeah, but yeah, no. I mean, I think what's going to happen is, the spin on it will be that, oh yeah, well, we need this Super League in order to stay financially afloat because of COVID-19. I think that's what's going to happen next. Is this is the kind of nonsense. It's the same, like, politicians do it in every country. It's like, well, of course we're broke. We can't spend the money on that hospital that this community needs or that community needs because we're broke. And it's like a classic lie that the rich give, basically. And so I think unless they have completely transparent accounting, and who has that these days, really. I think that's going to be next, is that they're going to try and spin it. They're going to try and win us over with, poor us. If we don't do it, then the club could disappear, this kind of thing. And they're all going to try that, all the presidents of the 12 clubs. But sorry, going back to your original question, I'm not surprised about Tuchel or any other manager just to say basically, well, nothing.
Yeah. Talking about owners, as you probably know, in Bundesliga, in most clubs, fans hold the most shares in all clubs, so all the decisions, fans need to be consulted. So, Ian, do you think anything of a kind would be possible here as well?
What's that? Can you repeat that? Sorry, Zane.
That in Bundesliga, fans for most clubs, they hold the most shares, so they have to make all of the decisions. They have to vote for it. So, do you think anything as such would be possible in Premier League?
I don't think fans could own clubs in this country now due to the finances in it. I think if maybe we'd have jumped in 20 years ago, that might have been possible. I don't think it's possible now. Liverpool are worth something like £2 billion, I think now, something stupid like that. So I don't think that is ever going to happen. Just something on what Owen said before about why this is happening. The top and bottom of this is happening to save Real Madrid. Real Madrid are £900 million in debt, and the European football family doesn't want to see Real Madrid potentially disappear. So we're all bowing down to them to save Real Madrid and Perez. That is what this is all down to. To a lesser extent, Barcelona, but it's all to save Real Madrid. That's what this is for. Welcome, Steve.
Sorry for jumping in, Zane. Ian's going to go shortly, so I'm going to take over from the Red Pod. Let's go.
Well, since you joined, maybe I can give you 30 seconds to a minute just to vent about European Super League, whatever your opinion is about it.
I think Ian's summed that up pretty well. This is Real Madrid or bust. They need the money. They'll take the money by getting kicked out of the tournament they're in right now. So that means La Liga. They'll happily take the £350 million today. Without this, Real Madrid are done financially. Their mortgage is up to the hilt at the banks. Barcelona are much the same. So it's whether the world of football wants to pander to Florentino Perez and keep the Real Madrid dream alive, or do we want to go back to the roots and put the football back with the fans? Because that's the biggest problem. Football is about the fans. Certainly our football club's about the fans. And you're taking that away from them without even giving them a choice. If we go into the European Super League, Liverpool's modern era history ends the day prior to going into the Super League for me. And I don't know whether I'm comfortable invested as much time and effort in a rebranded Liverpool. They'll be called Mersey Reds, Liverbirds, or something in 6 months' time when it gets Americanized to the full extent. This is really bad. This is the end of football as we know it. So it's got to stop. It's just got to stop. Whatever it takes, it's got to stop.
And Owen, do you think it can stop? Do you think the players, the managers, the fans have enough ground and enough power to make it stop?
They do. They do have that power if everybody clubs together. If Henderson can even contact the 6 captains of the clubs in other countries to get everybody together against this idea, then yes, I mean, if they refuse to play, then it will have a huge impact. They don't want to jeopardize their international careers. So yeah, I mean, the players could certainly do something. Managers not so much, because if they leave, then they will just get replaced. But it's very hard to replace the big stars that, of course, the clubs want in this Super League, and that's the only way it will work. Because if the stars stay and compete in this new league, but the only other way it doesn't happen is that if it's all a big poker move and it's just there to get UEFA back to the drawing board to revamp the competition so that clubs like, as Ian said, Real Madrid get more money from it, then maybe that's one other way that it won't go through. But yes, the players do have a lot of say.
Yeah, and I think it will definitely be interesting to see what comes out of the captain meeting, which will be, I think, tomorrow. So, talking about what the future holds for Liverpool, we still have 6 games to potentially play for our 4th position Champions League spots, even if I hope it will be relevant next season. Steve, do you think that something will change in our players' motivation and how they approach the game because of this European Super League?
Sorry, who's that to? Sorry, Zane?
Yeah, that was you. Do you think that? Yeah.
I think the players haven't got a clue what's going on. They're like the fans at the moment. They're waiting to get something concrete. It'd be really, really difficult to go to Anfield having all the badges and all the flags taken away and not feel like they're being punished by certain sections of the fan base. I'm totally with Jurgen Klopp. It's not the players, it's not the manager, it's not the coaching staff. It's money-grabbing Americans who are not even in this country. They're hiding behind the being the CEO of Liverpool Football Club. It is all about the money. I did wonder at £2.5 billion whether the Liverpool Football Club could ever be worth any more than it is now. A European Super League takes it into astronomical figures. But back to your question, the players just need to be motivated to play the game. The players need to be motivated to play for the badge. The players need to be motivated to play for the fans, because that's what we've got whilst we're still going. That's what's left. And if we take our eye off the ball and we finish outside of the Champions League positions, which there's no guarantee we will get Champions League, assuming things carry on as normal, there's a big financial impact in that regard. The money that you earn from the Champions League can be as much as £200 million a season. So essentially, you're looking at a £500 million swing. If you look at it whatever way you want, we will have given up the £350 million being founder members of the Super League and lost the revenue from the Champions League. Not at the same time, but they're both big hits the club can't afford to take. So I think and I hope that the players can stay motivated and see the job through to the end of the season.
Yeah, I think they should maybe try a bit and use distance themselves, even though it's really hard from all the talk and just focus on the next 6 games. We're talking about game yesterday because it doesn't feel like that we did have a game yesterday. I want to just start with the reception that our players got. Alex, what do you think about it? What do you think about fans burning Liverpool shirts and screaming various kinds of stuff to the bus? What do you think about it?
Well, yeah, I don't think the players deserved it at all. I can see what the fans were obviously trying to say, but there are other ways of doing it instead of Like there was no Liverpool owner on that coach. You know, there was no one on that coach that had anything to do with the decision that was made. So I just think it was not pointless, but maybe directed toward in a different way as opposed to shouting abuse at the team and stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I got into Leeds fans about we're critical and they speak about what has happened because we were giving the same reception to Real Madrid. I think it is a bit different. I think definitely the wrong recipient. They should be channeling all their anger towards the owners and not the club. But talking about yesterday's game just a bit more, what did you think about the performance, Owen?
Yeah, sorry. There's a weird crackling. I don't know, Alex. Can you try muting your microphone for a sec? If you can see the mute button, it's on the bottom left. Yeah, that's better. I think it's your phone that's making this strange crackling sound. It's gone now. That's cool. Okay, so sorry. Yeah, just unmute when you speak. Thank you. So yesterday's game. I didn't sleep until about it's about 2:00 in the morning. Because I signed up for a songwriting workshop that was going on there. It was all is passive, just listening to these expert songwriters and watching the game at the same time, right? And we had a challenge to come up with 10 song ideas. And so I was going to watch the match and then come up with these 10 song ideas, which I had to do for today's session, right? And all my song ideas, they're all depressing songs. Because after that match, I thought, it was a huge match, huge. I don't think it's all over in terms of the race for the top four, assuming that we're going to, still fight for the Champions League next season. I'm going to assume that that's going to happen, that we're still in a fight for it. I think we can afford even to drop points in one more game, but I think now we need to win 5 of the last 6 games. I thought several performances were really good. I thought Milner was brilliant. I thought Alisson Becker was superb. But that goal at the end, it was a real kick in the teeth, as they say. And I was up all night thinking of ideas for songs, and they were all like Leonard Cohen.
Yeah, I think I felt the same. Even though many people were saying I'm not gonna watch the game, I don't care about it. I still did, and I was super happy that Mane got his goal because, as you probably all know, I'm a big Mane fan. So it was nice to see him scoring. But Steve, what do you think about the performance yesterday?
I thought first half we were really good. We created lots of opportunities and were unfortunate to go in only 1-0 in front. Half-time came at totally the wrong time for us. That game shouldn't have had a half-time. If it had run consecutively for 90 minutes, I think we would have won that at a canter. So something happens sometimes when the team goes in at half-time. They come out in the second half, and Liverpool have been dictating play and controlling the game and creating chances, aside from the horrendous pass that Fabinho gave away and Alisson rescued him. We just didn't turn up in the second half. It was yet another frustrated watch. But everybody's minds are somewhere else. So whilst I'm frustrated we didn't get the win, whilst I'd like to think that there was no psychology involved, you're warming up next to a team who are wearing T-shirts decrying the potential for a Super League. And I get that, and I understand that. But that's a little bit of kidology, that's a little bit of psychology on Leeds' part. It wasn't necessary. We know how the world feels about it. I just thought we switched off at half-time, and in the second, we were lucky not to lose, to be fair, in the second half. They created plenty of chances, but for Alisson, as already mentioned, returning to some form of form, having had some glitches and some blips recently, but for Alisson, we would have lost the game. So it might turn out to be a 0.1 away at Leeds. Leeds are a very brave side. They take risks. They're not worried about who they play. Manchester City will testify to that. So in that regard, at this stage, every point you gain, you win, whether it be a point or 3 points, is a point towards your target. So it does feel tough that we didn't win the game, but on the second half performance, we could quite easily have lost it.
Yeah, I completely agree. When I was watching the game second half, I had a feeling that we might lose it because there were so many chances for them. It felt like two different teams, but I think it's just a story of this season, because I don't think we've had a game where we've been consistently good for two halves. Maybe a couple of Champions League games before the Real Madrid one, but yeah, I think that's a bit of a problem for us. Alex, what do you think? What did you thought about the possession stats? Because usually we have 70% possession, and the opposition team has less. But this game, I think Leeds had like 61 and we have 39. So what did you think about that?
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter and I was surprised because like normally our midfield, as sometimes they can be lazy, they'd at least have a bit more on the ball, especially against teams like Leeds who might, against Liverpool, hold back a bit. But in fairness, they didn't hold back too much in the second half. But I don't know. I just thought that the midfield was flat. I thought Milner actually gave us a better performance than he has in recent weeks. I don't know what Wijnaldum is doing lately. I don't think he's doing enough for me personally. Whether he's other stuff in his mind, I don't know, and I'd rather not comment on it because. And the front three, the same kind of scenario. I think Mane. I was happy he scored because I'm a big Mane fan as well. My jersey for this season has Mane at the back of it. But I think that Mane was lucky that Trent gave him kind of an really easy. It'll do wonders for his confidence. But I think after we scored, we just not even collapsed. We just stopped kind of pushing for more goals. It was kind of more so laid back, and I don't know. There could be, it could be a mind game too with the whole Super League thing in the back of their heads, maybe. But
Yeah.
I think that it was just like when I saw the stat, I couldn't believe it personally.
Well, Sam is saying here that we are more dangerous when we have less possession because we are best at counter. I agree that we're very good, but I don't think we're good this season. For example, a great example was when Robo ran away. I don't know who was with him, but he just decided to do nothing, to not pass. And this is just our whole season summarized. This is what happens, even though you said, oh, Mane was lucky to have this chance. So many times this season we had chances, sometimes even better chances, and we just didn't score. So still have to be grateful for that. But our center back curse seems to be going strong again, and we were playing with Fabinho back in center back because Phillips is injured. Oh, and what do you think? Did we miss him a lot in midfield?
Oh, yeah, we missed Nat Phillips as well. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we did miss Fabinho. I thought the performance was pretty good. I'm just looking at a few stats. But yes, we had 17 shots to their 12. So we had more shots than them. So we're 7 on target compared to their 5. But yeah, I don't think we were too bad. Yes, in the second half. Well, first of all, we had some really good chances at the start of the second half, didn't we? But before Leeds started to really dominate. But yeah, I don't know. Midfield, Wijnaldum as well is a great shout by Alex. He had 24 touches, which is not very many. I look at these sort of stats at every game for my podcast on Cop On, and it's 24 I think it's his lowest amount maybe ever for Liverpool, because he really was anonymous. So yeah, I mean, if you could put my ideal midfield for yesterday would have been Fabinho, Thiago, and Milner, and I would have rested Gini. I mean, of course, it's easy to say in hindsight, but I mean, Gini's a wonderful player. I really like the guy. But for some reason, he doesn't get involved enough. So, yes, we missed Fabinho. I mean, yeah. I think when Virgil's back, or when Nat Phillips is back, a sort of 7 out of 10 defenders back compared to a 10 out of 10, then, our midfield is a lot better with Fabinho in it. Basically, Fabinho is an unbelievable player, one of the most underrated players in the league. And so when he doesn't play in midfield, yes, we miss him.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think just continuing a bit about Genie, I think he had only like 15 or 16 passes for the whole game. So that's a bit of a shocking stat as well, even though we hate him passing back. At least he passed the ball, he had the ball, he's active. But yeah, I think yesterday's game, it just didn't feel like he is in it. And it probably looks like that he is going to leave this summer. And part of the reason why Klopp is playing Milner, because they need that captain figure as well. So I'm gonna ask all of you: do you still believe that we can achieve top 4? I'll start with you, Alex.
I think we can, but I think a lot of it will depend on other teams' performances as well. I think Leicester have a tough run in. And everyone's kind of ruling them out of it, thinking that they have the top 3 sorted. I don't think so. I think West Ham will fall off. I think Chelsea, though, are the kind of the team we're looking at. But when I say West Ham fall off, I don't mean that they'll fall all the way down the table. I mean that they could maybe finish 4th or 5th, as opposed to maybe 3rd or 4th. And nothing's guaranteed with Liverpool either. So I don't know. Our back 4 seems to be doing okay. I like the two at the back. They're doing well. It's not so much them, but it's just, will we keep scoring now from the rest of the season? Will we score more than a goal a game? I don't know. But at least we're not losing games. That's the only positive I can see. Like, because there was one stage where we lost like 4 games in a row, and 6 in a row at home. So yeah, I think we can, but I'm not gonna say we will, because I don't know. It's tight.
Yeah, well, Ian is saying Genie gets too much criticism. I'm not sure. Maybe he definitely get from Twitter fans. Definitely, he gets a lot of criticism, and a lot of it is sometimes unjustified. And I've always kind of said and defended him, but I think just last couple of games haven't been the best. Also, I think I saw a comment saying that he's a bit overplayed, which I agreed, because he has played so many games this season. He's, I think, the only player who hasn't had an injury next with Robo, I think. So yeah, but going back to top 4, Steve, what do you think? Top 4?
It's possible. As I said earlier, the point that Ellen wrote is a good point, because Leeds play with an abandonment. They're not worried about who they play. They don't have any respect for anybody. And I love that. Kind of my guilty pleasure this year, Leeds, because of how open they are in the way that they attack. It's great to watch. It's great to watch Leeds play and get good value for money. I think the problem we've got is, the longer this conversation goes on about the greedy 6 or the big 6 or this European Super League, 2 of the teams in the shakedown for that are in the top 4. Make no mistake, every team in the league is out to get them. So every game that we've got between now and the end of the season just became quite a lot more difficult, because even if this gets stopped and we all remain in the Premier League, our credibility and our reputation is tainted for the rest of Premier League history because of greedy people. That would always work against us. We will be a pantomime villain for the rest of our history, and for that reason, we can expect teams have got no right to come out and play us off the pitch, to come out and try even harder to stop us and Chelsea getting top 4, hoping that Chelsea lose to Real Madrid, because you reap what you sow. The behaviour has been appalling. So yes, we can still do it. We've got the ability to do it. Have we got the mindset to do it? That remains to be seen. But trust me, the rest of the Premier League is out to get us.
Yeah, I think for sure, and I think that's one of the things I hate the most about it, that it's going to taint our reputation. It already has, and the players and the manager, they are not to blame. It's our owners to blame, but it doesn't matter. So it's just really, really bad. Owen, what do you think about top 4?
That's a really good point by Steve. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, absolutely. I had a really deep look at the top 4 race. I spent hours on it last weekend because we recorded a podcast. Sorry to keep plugging my podcast, but I have to. looking at the reverse fixtures, I think that's a helpful thing to do, right? So the reverse fixtures, actually, West Ham look like they've got an easy run in, right? But their reverse fixtures of the last 7 games, they won 2, drew 2, and lost 3. Chelsea in the reverse fixtures, they won 3, drew 1, and lost 3. Liverpool in the reverse fixtures, though, it's not good news because we only won 2, drew 3, and lost 2. And actually, the best record in terms of the reverse fixtures is Tottenham, who won 5, drew 1, and lost 1, as well as Leicester, won 5, drew 2, and lost 0. Now, there is various things, like Chelsea have changed their manager. They're a lot better than they were under Lampard. So I expect Chelsea to do it. But at the same time, they're playing Brighton, West Ham United, Fulham, Manchester City, and Leicester with either European Cup to Champions League or FA Cup distractions. So maybe mentally that will take something away from the players. And as Steve just said, the other teams would be extra fired up to beat them. That might count for something. But as I said, I worked out that because everyone's going to drop points, because that's what we've done all season, that's what all of the clubs around us have done all season, that it is still possible. But from this point, by my reckoning, we're going to need at least 68 points, and that's 5 wins from the last 6 matches. So if we do that, I think we've done it. But it'll involve our best run of the season, which is possible.
Yeah, I'm a strong believer that we can do it. A lot will depend on all this ESL talk, and yeah, I've seen a comment talking about Leicester and West Ham dropping out. I think I agree with that. I think it happened to Leicester last year, and it looks like a couple of results recently haven't been the best as well. And West Ham, yes, I've been waiting all the time for them to drop points, but it just doesn't happen. But also, I think they lost the last game. Was it against Newcastle? So, yeah. Well, we have to win the games, and we have to hope that others in the top 4, top 5, they don't win their games. So before we all go, maybe I just want for you to say how we can find you on social media, YouTube, wherever you are, so that everyone can go and follow you. Alex? You're on mute.
Sorry. So my Twitter name is Alex Extraordinary. I made it when I was about 12, 13. So that's my name on Twitter. It's probably your best bet.
Can you talk about only Liverpool, or do you talk about them?
Sorry?
Do you talk only about Liverpool or football in general? Or?
Well, kind of everything, yeah. But a lot of my timeline is Liverpool.
Okay, perfect. Owen, what about you? Tell us a bit about your podcast as well.
Yeah, so I started Cop On in 2017, the start of the 2017-18 season. And it's at Cop On Podcast on Twitter. I don't really do other social media. I don't have time. But it's a really nice community. Everybody's welcome to get involved, to be a guest or to listen would be great. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. I like Podcast Addict. It's a good app for podcasts if you've got Android phones. And so if you search for Cop On, we'll be there. And it just brings people really from all over the world. We got contributors from Hong Kong and the West Coast of the United States, and all kinds of places, and it's really nice that everybody's welcome to their own opinion. People have different opinions, and that's great. And we're just there to talk about it, and I don't know, it's like a sort of community thing. So so thank you. Yeah, just at Cop On Podcast.
Amazing, thank you very much. I think we will finish here. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I really hope that this whole Super League doesn't go ahead, but we just have to wait and see. Let's see what our 6 captains decide on tomorrow, and let's just hope we get the top 4. Thank you guys for watching.
Just before we go, guys, I just want to extend my gratitude to Zane. This is a debut show on Red Sky Pods. This is my sort of channel, so I'm very grateful for her. We knew she'd be a superstar. She's not let us down. We are looking for more guests. We are looking for collaborations with other pod channels. More importantly, we are looking for other hosts. There's a lot of free time available through the week for people to come on and do shows. So by all means, if this is your thing and you like what you see with Red Sky, then please get in touch with me or get in touch with the page directly, and we can have a conversation. We are a small podcast community. We need to be united in what we do, support each other. So collaborations is key. So if you want to come on Red Sky, or we want to go and cop on, give us a shout. We're always looking for new people to come on. This is really good. Right now, it's good to spend time with other Liverpool fans because we're in adversity at the moment. So it's nice to share some stories with some other Liverpool fans. So again, Zane, thank you. You've been a superstar.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
Okay. Take care, everybody.
Thanks very much, Zane.